Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a huge challenge that, let's be honest, almost every company is dealing with right now: how to build a truly world-class onboarding experience for hybrid teams. You know, if you get this right, it's not just some small fix, it can be a massive competitive advantage.
Okay, so let's just kick things off with a pretty staggering statistic from Gallup. Get this, only 12% of employees feel like their company actually does a good job with onboarding. That means, what, a whopping 88% of companies are basically failing their new hires from day one.
And the stakes here? Well, they couldn't be higher. Because when you do get it right, the payoff is just enormous. A great onboarding program can boost your new hire retention by a massive 82%. We're talking about the difference between being a revolving door for talent and building a really committed long-term team.
So you have to ask, right? Why is there such a massive gap between what's possible and what's actually happening? A big part of the answer has everything to do with the unique, kind of tricky challenges of our new hybrid world.
Yeah, the heart of the problem is that the shift to hybrid work has thrown a whole bunch of new, complex challenges into the mix. Things that our old traditional ways of onboarding just were not designed to handle.
And look, these hurdles are no joke. You've got remote employees who feel completely out of the loop because they're missing all those little water cooler chats. Then you've got the risk of creating this two-tiered experience where people in the office get all the good stuff. And honestly, beyond all the tech headaches, the single biggest challenge might be this: how on earth do you make someone feel like they truly belong when they're not even in the same room? Okay, so how do we start to fix this? Well, the solution begins with what we're going to call Pillar 1, building a solid, tech-enabled framework. The whole goal here is to make sure that absolutely everyone, no matter where they are, gets the exact same high-quality, consistent experience.
And this really requires a pretty fundamental shift in how we think about this stuff. We've got to move from that old in-person first model to one that is virtual first. So instead of relying on a bunch of static documents and just hoping people bump into each other, the new way is all about having a centralized, accessible portal and creating planned, intentional connections for everyone.
So what does that actually look like in practice? Well, you can start with a single, unified virtual orientation for everybody. Then all your content needs to live in one central place, a single source of truth. And the real key is to use technology to create actual interaction. You know, using things like live polls and breakout rooms, but also offering recorded sessions so people have the flexibility to learn when it works for them.
But listen, a great framework is really only half the story. That brings us to Pillar 2, which is all about the human element. Because at the end of the day, great onboarding is about people, not just processes.
And the single most important person in this entire process? It's the new hires manager. Research from Microsoft found that new hires are 3.5 times more likely to be satisfied with their onboarding if their manager is actively involved. We're talking frequent check-ins, especially during that make-or-break first week.
And that brings us to the incredible power of peer support. Pairing a new hire up with an onboarding buddy, you know, an experienced teammate who can answer all those silly questions and help them figure out the unwritten rules, is an absolute game changer for making someone feel like they're part of the team.
And the data on the buddy system is it's stunning. When new hires met up with their buddy frequently, their own reported productivity shot up from 56% all the way to 97%. Now, that is not a small improvement. That's a night and day difference in how fast they can start making a real impact. All right, our final pillar is all about making this entire process sustainable and actually self-improving. Think of it like a flywheel, a system that just builds momentum over time. And it works by combining proactive security with a constant feedback loop, making sure your onboarding is always getting better.
This all starts by baking security in from the very beginning. I'm talking about shipping a pre-configured secure laptop before they even start. It means having mandatory cybersecurity training to help them spot things like phishing emails. And it means being super clear about policies on data protection and how to secure their own home office.
Now, the other really critical part of this flywheel is building a feedback loop. It's actually kind of astonishing, but over half of companies don't formally measure or evaluate their onboarding process at all. And that's just a huge missed opportunity to learn and get better.
So to do this right, you really have to pull in feedback from a few different places. That means regular surveys with your new folks at the 30, 60, and 90-day marks. It means getting honest feedback from their managers, and it means tracking the hard data, things like employee retention and how long it takes someone to get fully productive.
So when you put this all together, the most important takeaway is this:
You have to stop thinking about onboarding as just some administrative checklist you have to get through in the first week. It's a strategic, ongoing experience that really sets the tone for an employee's entire journey with your company.
By embracing this kind of balanced, three-pillar approach, the framework, the people, and the flywheel, you can turn what feels like a logistical nightmare into a powerful engine for keeping your best talent. And that leaves us with one final question to think about. Is your onboarding process winning you talent, or is it losing it?